What's going on, everybody? Tyson here with the Tack Box Podcast. I got my brother over here, Dale. How you doing today, Dale?
Man, everything is good in Texoma today. I mean, we are officially into fall. We got the pumpkin spice coffee that my friend Rick gave us. It's like we are rolling on into this stuff. Cooler weather, here we come.
So you are a pumpkin spice guy?
I don't know if I will actually buy it, but if someone was to make it, I could drink it.
Okay, yeah. I feel like that's what I'd probably buy it, but it's like a week period because you drink it and then you're just like, okay, I've had enough. I probably wouldn't buy it again.
Yeah, I don't know if you buy a whole bag, because it's like you might like have twice, but it's kind of like it's one of those things I enjoy the olfactory senses of it. So it's kind of like I enjoy the smell of someone smoking a pipe. I've tried so hard to get Jane to smoke a pipe. Just that she has no part of it, but I enjoy the smell. I just don't want to actually physically smoke the pipe. I enjoy the smell of a pipe. I mean, it's nice. It's pleasant. But
I can relate to that as far as like cigars. Like I like to walk into a humidor and smell like fresh cigars in a humidor. Never could smoke one. Like,
right.
you
Did you ever
know.
ask Meredith if she'd smoke one just to kind of like set them at the house?
No, I have never asked her to smoke a cigar. I don't know if I would
Throw it
either.
out there at her. Say, maybe she might. She's a good woman. She's a team player.
Yeah, I mean, she'll take one for the team on that one. Yeah.
That's
So
right.
what's new? What's new in the Martinson world? You were judging this last weekend.
Judge did a really nice show down in Central Texas. Very nice. I saw some beautiful dogs. My toy group winner went best in show on Sunday, so that was fun to watch. There were a couple of pretty chin puppies that was promising to see some new exhibitors had. That always makes me happy when I see new people with pretty puppies. Back home, I'm getting ready, not this weekend, but the following weekend, judging Chihuahua National Specialty, and there's a tremendous entry, and I'm super excited. Stoked, stoked, stoked. It'll be really fun.
Yeah. So a couple of things. First of all, how does it feel as a judge when your group winner goes on to win best in show? It's got to be kind of rewarding. Like I picked something good, and the next judge saw that, and
Yeah, well, so it's whenever you think something's really cool, and if someone else likes it too, I mean, that's nice because, but equal number of times, if not more, someone else, you like something else, someone goes like, so I mean, yeah, it's nice. It was really good, you know.
yeah. And then the second part is the Chihuahua National. Like, that's a big deal, right? Because for what is it, the last 6 months, you haven't been allowed to judge Chihuahuas or something like that
I've
because
been
you're
on
doing that?
restriction from Chihuahuas. Yeah, I mean, it's like I couldn't judge any Chihuahuas. I couldn't go to Taco Bell or anything. I'm on total Chihuahua, restrictions on that.
You couldn't
So
have your bean and cheese burrito from
I
Taco
couldn't get a
Bell?
beef and cheese burrito. It was like none of it. So it's like I'm ready to see Chihuahuas again. I'm ready to hit Taco Bell. I'm ready for all of it. Bring it on.
That's super cool. I've actually had a couple people that I talked to are just like, "Going to the Chihuahua National, I'm excited because Dale's judging." So it's like, yeah, coinciding, like, they're going to Chihuahua National with, like, the podcast and how we do it together, and Dale's judging and this, and it's kinda cool how the circle of everything works with that, so
It's super fun. I mean, and it's a great breed because you have it's a good breeder handlers, and there might be some dogs from out of the country, and it'll be cool. I'm looking forward to it. It's such a fun little breed.
does Mexico have a lot of, like do a lot of people come up from Mexico and things like that to
There
show in
are
the
a
United
few
States?
breeders down in Mexico that have had some really good winning dogs. Yeah, it's always funny because they have like um, the mother country kind of thing. With sometimes the mother country of a breed is very relevant to a breed, and sometimes the mother country to a breed is not relevant at all. It's just but it's kind of a stereotype. It's fun. It may or may not be accurate. There actually are. I've seen some really beautiful dogs come up from Mexico, so
I
that's
was thinking
very
about that
fun.
just the other day is, like, does Mexico even have a lot like, you don't hear a lot of, like I hear a lot of Canada, and shows in Canada,
Well, it's
people in
because
Canada,
you
but I don't
live you
north.
you live just one Dakota away from Canada. I mean,
Yeah, like
you are
I'm like South Canada.
you are South Canada. Exactly. I mean, all you have to do is go through the Turtle Mountains and through the International Peace Garden, and you're there. You are
There.
Canadian, eh? You know,
Yeah.
I mean, you're there.
It is we're right there. So maybe that's why you probably hear a lot more Mexico than I do. But
Yeah, yeah.
you know, the downside of
We're a
that is
sombrero's toss away from the border, you know? I
yeah.
mean,
The downside of that is we're on the slope into winter where it's like -5 and I'm heating the garage and shoveling snow and you're just like, yeah, it's gonna be 60. Yeah, maybe 50. Yeah, yeah.
yeah, exactly. Exactly. You know, it's like I look forward to getting to wear jeans and maybe a hoodie. It's like, woohoo, we're in
Yeah.
winter. You know, that's
Running
like
in some long pants rather than shorts
that only happens maybe one time a year.
if there's snow on the
Yeah.
ground.
Yeah. Yeah. The one day there's snow. Yeah.
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 So last week we talked listener questions. We had a long list of listener questions and we were like,
The
we're gonna do an
listeners
episode on
were
this.
great for us. I mean, they
Yeah.
really brought an A game. They really brought us some great questions.
But we can't figure out how to be punctual as a team and just answer the question without going down 50
Yeah.
rabbit
Yeah.
holes. So we only got 3 questions in. So what do you think
Yeah. We sucked a
about
little bit about that. Yeah.
yeah. So sorry. What do you think
We
about
took the
doing more
school bus
questions
route.
today?
Yeah.
Very true. We had a lot of stops along the way.
A lot of stops.
So I think we
So
should
what would be
maybe try
another
to
good
get 3 more
question?
questions.
Yeah, I feel
So
certain we could hit 3 more questions.
all right, here we go. We have a question on how do you choose a stud dog that complements your bitch? How do you go about finding them, and what are you looking for when you're choosing a stud dog?
Okay. Let's roll that one into another question we had too about stud fees. So we'll kind of do a combo platter, kind of like when you
This
go
is
in
the
there and
stud
you
question,
this is a stud question. Would you like
and it's not
fries
even
with
about
that?
us
Yeah, we're
two.
just
You know, it's not even
no,
about us
no,
two. We're talking
exactly,
dogs here.
exactly, exactly. So when you're wanting a stud dog for your bitch, you have to be honest about what do you want to improve in your bitch? What would you like to see different? So that's right off the top. Like, so once you have identified the areas that you like, we need improvement in these areas and, or at least complementary into there, you know, then that's kind of, if nothing more, not to mess you up, to bring some form of improvement. But one thing that I look for whenever I'm picking a stud dog is I want a dog that is, if I'm wanting an outcross, I want a dog that is from a family line that is line bred unto himself. Maybe different dogs than my dogs, but he himself has a family line, because if he has a family line where he is a line bred dog unto that family, he'll be consistent for the qualities of that family. Whereas if you just go, I bred this dog, he was small. Well, if he was from all big dogs, you might not know. You might think, oh, well, I bred to this little dog and I bred my larger bitch to him. But his mom was big, and his all of the things behind him and his whole litter mates were big. So when you know the whole family, then you can find that dog that's the family which embodies himself into this dog will bring your biggest amount of improvement. And
So
I
you're
think that's
saying
kind of
the
huge.
stud dog should be line bred. He should be the result of some line breedings throughout his pedigree to where you
If
get
you're
him
hoping
where
for
he's
him to be
gonna
a
reproduce
consistent
himself.
producer,
Yeah, okay.
exactly. I would rather breed to just a nice dog. It would maybe not the best dog in the whole world. You might see this dog might be like, this dog is really a big winner, really super blah, 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 blah. But if his pedigree is hit and miss and hodgepodge and this and that, the odds of him being a consistent producer, not very good. You're better off with maybe the more not as exciting a dog, but just an overall good that has the family. Because it's just like when you get into a relationship with someone, you get them, you get the family too. You get all of it, you know. good and bad, it all comes home thing. And I can even throw this in my very first foundation Japanese chin, Tennessee tuxedo, who changed the breed, brought me into the breed, brought a lot of people into the breed, did a lot. Magnificent dog. His pedigree was open. He didn't really look like his litter mates. He didn't look like his parents. He was a very random producer because, I mean, he had some very nice, he had some very nice puppies. He had 3 sons that were best in show winners, but he didn't really bring anything in particular to the table as a stud dog because he genetically couldn't. His pedigree was like the buffet at the Golden Corral. There was something for everyone, you know, and that's really hard to plan a cohesive plan. Like, oh, I'm going to breed to that dog because fill in the blank. No, not necessarily. You might have a 1 in 6 shot at getting that. That line bred dog that complements your dogs, and that may be someone that has given you some background on those dogs that that would be where I would go to look.
Now, so I'm just gonna ask a follow-up question with that then. Say you have a bitch that has really solid type and you almost wanna produce her. So are you gonna try to pick something that has the same type as her? Or are you gonna try to look like you mentioned earlier, like what do you wanna change? And so what's more important, breeding away from her faults or breeding to her strengths? Like what's more important when choosing a stud dog?
Well, all right, valid. That's a valid question. The kicker with that is how egregious are her faults? Are they just like preference faults? Like I would prefer this dog to have a little bit more white on him, or I'd prefer a little this, or are we talking about if I walk her too fast, one leg flops off? Well, okay, then we might have a bigger problem. I mean, if it's a preference fault, a structural fault, a temperament fault, all of these are things that we kind of want to think of. And when you're doing your breeding, I like to think about it not so much as like we're going to do this is where purebred dog breeders and preservation breeders take a different path than pet breeders, like the people who are breeding, say, doodles. We're going to take a poodle and a golden, and we're going to make a doodle. And they'll probably get a big litter of relatively sturdy puppies because there's not a plan for a next generation beyond that. So if you're thinking to yourself, like, wow, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to do this because I really hope to keep a girl or from this back to go back into this. That's a long-term plan. Like every breeding you do is like, I hope to do this so I can maybe get this to go forward with. Or maybe I can get a nice male out of this that I can breed to all of these other ones that will be complementary. Because if you can pick your breedings where they're going to have like a skipping a rock type of thing, whereas you're going to get like multiple effects. You can make a longer term plan and have a much bigger impact on that. And I think one of the things that's super important, and I talk to a lot of people, and I listen a lot too. And I think one thing that gets lost a tremendous amount as we get better and better and better with our breeding is reproductive ability. Reproductive ability gets, I mean, because we get so good at tracking the progesterone, so good at having our incubator and our puppy warmer. We have all this stuff here. You listen to those brilliant, handsome devils on the tack box. And so you know how to whelp your puppies and you're going to raise them all. All of this stuff. I mean, you're just tipping the scales in your favor. But at some point, reproductive ability is really important. I mean, it's something that if you lose it, you might not get it back. And eventually you'll stop getting that. So when you're breeding that bitch that she's got great type and, and I mean, and you might be tempted to like breed her back into something super typey. Oftentimes, when you get more and more and more extreme, I have found in the half dozen breeds that I have personally raised, and then in the other breeds that I have watched, as they get more and more and more and more extreme, which is exciting, it also doesn't necessarily lend to reproductive ability, and you start to lose those things. So those outcrosses, picking those studs, well, it would be really nice to know, did that stud dog, was his mother a really good producer? Did she have sisters? Did they produce well? Was the whole family? Because the more you know about that, the more you have to kind of unlock the key.
I think we talked about this in the pedigree podcast, reading pedigrees maybe. So if you go back, if you haven't listened to that one, go back to that one. But I think we talked about how the difference between cattle and dogs pedigrees are, right? Like with cattle, it's like you can see like this bull puts out this many calves, they weigh average this. You can see like everything. His mom did this, his brothers have done this. And it's like we don't have that with dogs. We kind of have to trust the breeder and the owner of the dog of like we have to know those questions to ask because we can't just see them on a pedigree or on a website somewhere, right?
You're 100% right. You're 100% right. Where you are have to, that's of invaluable information that you gather. The more you have your boots on the ground and more you actually do the work, you can start to see that stuff. And that's the more you get into it, then you go to a show and you see something flashy and pretty. You go, I'll check that out. But you're like, I want to wait and see. Is that going to be because is that going, I call those dogs sometimes like a Trojan horse. Like they look like a gift from above and you drag them home and then they, it like implodes and takes everything out because you just didn't know all of what you're getting for all of it. So back to the stud dog, know the family, know where it's coming from, find something that you need as a whole, from there. I mean, I love to look at older stud dogs because they have a bigger production record. You know, I think that's kind of cool when you can turn around and say, this has this and this. And I mean, okay, cool. Very nice. You can bring in the more information with that.
I think sometimes as things change and evolve, we're in 2025. You would think things would get easier. I think sometimes they get harder because back in our younger years, you wanted a stud service, you found it in a magazine, right? People
Hmm.
advertised stud services in a magazine. So you could flip through and be like, oh, I want this stud. There's no like stud directories or anything now. Is that a parent club type of thing with some breeds? Or is it kind of like everybody's really nowadays a stud service, right? You see a boy dog you like, you could probably reach out to the breeder and be like, tell me more. I'd be interested in stud service. Do you do that?
So yeah, that's a
Am I
good
opening
question.
like a huge can of worms?
Yeah. I mean, yeah, yeah. So we used to be a little bit more free and easy with the stud services. Like we would just breed the dog. If someone came, they seemed like nice people, they weren't involved in a cult. They brought you money, you bred their bitches, you signed their papers, you wished them well, and like you then look at that, their puppies turned up. Now everything's changed on that. And so you have like this way more accountability where like where did you send where if you bred to my stud dog, you probably have there might be terms, there might be like and people have like little camps like I don't like them so they can't use my stud and the this and that and like I'm not going to breed to their dog because they're because I don't like them or the da 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 all that stuff. I mean, if I don't care who has it. If someone, Satan himself had the dog that I needed to breed to, by God, sure, you bet. Suck it up. It's you do what you need to do for the program. But a lot of people's involvement in dogs is about their own ego and about the personalities, and more it's maybe a little bit more of a sewing circle and a little bit less of a program, and they're kind of like want to, they want to, it's just kind of a thing. And we're all guilty of it to a certain extent, when you like somebody, their baby is cuter than when if you don't like them and it's not as cute. But I think that you with part of what you need to establish those relationships, you have to be willing to do for people in order to ask them to do for you. I mean, I've known some breeders that have had some lovely dogs, and they were wretched cows to deal with. They were really horrible. And then when they turned around and needed people to help them out, they were like going, not taking their call. They're awful. And so they would find themselves boxed in and virtually out because when they had the dogs of the hour, they weren't very forthcoming. So, I mean, if you be nice to people on your way up, they'll be good to you on your way down. And because you just never know when you might need that other person for a stud service, for a puppy, for just anything, it's just a kind of a good, I look at, those investments in relationships and stuff, even if it's someone you don't think is very important or whatever, you don't know down the road, leave that door open. You don't have to be a cow, and
That's part of, I mean, that's just learning business in general. Like, you have to look at, like, your breed. I mean, if you're in doodles, you can probably shit on people a little bit, and, who cares? Another one comes along. You're in Japanese chin, we don't have a ton of gene pool out there. We need to be nice to everybody in chin and work together, because there's gonna be a point where I'm gonna need semen from you. I'm gonna need or
exactly.
want semen from you, or somebody's gonna need something from me, and as
It's
people
it's
go
a big
out,
program.
be bringing people in, and those people aren't gonna stay in if everybody's a cow to them, so
No,
it's
no.
I think you
And
said it the
I
best, is
mean,
like, if you see a stud dog and you're like, "I need that semen, it's gonna better my business, it's gonna better my kennel," you gotta kinda pull out all stops and suck up some pride and reach out and figure out how you're gonna get that semen, because that's if that's what's gonna better your kennel and what you need, then that's
exactly.
what you need to do, really.
Well,
Was there more
absolutely.
to the stud dog question? I feel like there was another part to it.
Yeah, but like I say, I think that that's pretty much it in a nutshell. You should need to look at everything that's available to you. You need to be working on establishing relationships about maybe breedings all throughout the year. You need to stay in touch with your breeder friends and talk to them what their dogs are getting producing through the litter, and you need to take that information when it comes time to do your breedings. Turn around and say, hey, I'm going to be available for you when you want to do it. So you'll turn around and help me. And that way everybody grows, the breed grows, everyone comes up with something a little bit better. And you've got a long-term goal. If your long-term goal is only a couple of years, well then be wretched. No one cares. You'll be done and gone, and it doesn't matter. But if you want to play this game for a while longer, you're going to need those relationships. And that's today's stud services, are those relationships. So you're taking a bitch, sending semen, borrowing a dog. You know, I've got one of my pretty little stud dogs is with another breeder right now because they have a couple of nice bitches. And I'm like, take them, use them, hey, do the breed some good. That's that kind of thing. You got to share the love. But I think the next part of it was, what should you pay for a stud service? And I
So
think
that
that
kinda
one
ties
was a
into the first
question.
part of the question too. When you're looking for a stud, that's a question to ask when you're looking for a stud. So you found a stud, now you gotta figure out, what's the stud contract? What's the cost? What does the breeder or this owner of this stud want to do the stud service? Which leads into I think the next part of the question, right, is like, what do you charge? What's a contract look
So,
like? And you said
so
there's no
all of
answer. The answer is no answer. So now
well,
we're kinda
there's not a hard, fast answer to that question as to what it should cost to breed your bit. I mean, so back in the olden days, they would say a stud fee, and they put the amount of the fee, and then they'd say, or POL, pick of litter, and that would be right in the stud ads. So if you're going to say For example,
Boy, I got a Diet Coke here. Yeah, I thought you might like
well,
that.
good job. Good job.
Yeah.
Excellent. I'm trying to cut
As
down
you're
to just
drinking
12
water.
cans a day. What's that?
I just rubbed as you're drinking water, I just threw it right in your face. You're chugging water and I'm
No,
drinking a Diet
because I'm
Coke.
right now I'm having withdrawal from Diet Coke because it's been almost like 4 hours since I've had one. But you know when you go in there and figure out how much is a stud fee going to cost, are they going to, because a stud fee is based on a couple of different things. What is the average price of your breed puppies, your puppies bring? Because a long time ago, they used to say if someone was to charge a stud fee, they should get the price of a pet puppy. That would be the price of the stud fee, would be like the price of a pet puppy. Then, then some people would say, well, this stud dog has a big production record, has a big winning record, has, it might be worth more because of reputation or value or money we've put into it. We might be able to demand a higher price. So there you go. That could be that. If are they going to go ahead and are you going to do the breeding live cover where you're going to bring the bitch to the dog and they're going to breed? Or are you going to send semen? Because sending semen, that's going to involve progesterone tests, possibly a surgical insemination, extra expense, lower conception with that, statistically less puppies in your litter. All of that figures into that too. These are all things that need to be discussed in advance in full. So if the stud owner is willing to wait 4 or 5 months for payment, if they're willing to wait 4 or 5 months for payment, the 60 days of gestation period, and then like 12 weeks for the puppies to grow out, they might actually take a puppy. Now, if they're willing to take a puppy, they're going to get more than the value of the stud fee because but they had to wait 5 months. So, they should get more. And at anywhere along the way, if the bitch doesn't take, if the puppies are crap, if they all die, they get nothing. So I mean, they're gambling that they're going to get puppies, they're going to be nice puppies, and they're willing to wait their money. So then that's going to be a little bit more than if someone who pays cash up front. You pay, you drive by, boop boop, you're gone. That's a cash up front thing. So, there's all sorts of that stuff, but you really need to discuss it up front. Find out exactly because the time to talk about stud services is not when your bitch has been in heat for a week. You start out and say, I would like to breed your dog. What's the availability look like? Well, we're going to be gone showing all summer long. All right, we'll find another dog. We'll breed to him next year. I mean, what are those things where you're going to be able to have a plan as to, is this dog going to be available? Are they going to be able to do the breeding? Are they going to be able to, is going to be something you're going to be able to get the dog to them? Whenever you are doing a breeding out, you should send your best bitch. Send the best thing you have, because hopefully when you're doing a breeding to breed out, you're breeding to keep. That's something I really like to see. I don't, if someone's not really wanting to keep anything, I'd really rather they'd not breed to my dog, because if they're just needing puppies to sell, I'd rather not do the stud service. I don't have time for it. It's a bother. It disrupts my peaceful kingdom. But if they're wanting to keep, if they're wanting to better their program, I'll suck it up. I'll do it. I'll help them get their bitch bred. That kind of a thing. And so all of these things need to go in advance. I say, well, I think the bitch is going to should be in heat in May, blah, blah, blah. I have a plan in place so you know what you're going to do and make those advances. So, I mean, you've done that. You've been making plans about what you want to breed.
Now does the pricing structure change for, say there's a scenario where it's like you're not gonna take your bitch there and you're going to have semen shipped. As the stud owner, should you change your pricing scale based on like, I'm going to overnight you semen, or we're going to do a live cover? Because with a live cover, if you're bringing the bitch in, you're keeping her for a few days. You're running progesterone tests probably on her. And so you're boarding her, breeding her, giving her back. With semen, it's like, if you're shipping semen, I mean, you got the collection kit, you got the time to collect, you got the shipping supplies, and then the actual shipping fees. So, do you charge the same price for either one of them because there's the pros and cons, or is there different contracts with each?
So the different contracts with each. So like if you're going to take someone's bitch, and I recommend that the bitch be in heat when you take it. I have taken dogs for people, my friends. Hi, Margaret. Kept and ended up keeping their dog for 6 short months where I got to love it as my own, waiting for it to come in heat. But, that's what we chin people do for each other. But she did make me some really great t-shirts, so we're all good. But so if you go ahead and you keep it, you're gonna do your covering, because you're gonna have your transport of getting your bitch there and back and the arrangements that looks like. If you're gonna do semen sent out, you have, like I said, you have the travel kit. Generally, it would be like, I'm going to charge you a $2,000 stud fee, and then plus the cost of going to the vet and getting the semen collected and having it boxed. When your vet boxes the semen, they will score it and they'll tell you what percentage it is. Because if that stud dog is only 60%, well, don't send it. That's like sending tap water, you know. But if you're, I mean, you can send it out, and if they get it inseminated right, implanted right, you've got a really reasonable expectation of getting a good litter. But that transport costs, the collection costs, that's the bitch owners. So when you're breeding out, you're breeding to keep, you know, but you're certainly not going to make a nickel off of those because you're going to put a lot of expense in, and then you're going to want to watch them really close to make sure you got what you want to keep back and stuff. But like I say, the stud fee should be, in larger breeds, sometimes they'll say we guarantee you a live litter, which would be 2 or 3 or more puppies. So if you breed something large that has double digits at a time, they would consider a onesie or a twosie to be not a litter. They consider that to be a couple of pups. But like in toy dogs, we consider one viable puppy with a heartbeat. That's a live litter, folks. You got yourself a puppy because you're not guaranteed numbers like that. We play on a smaller scale. Those are all part of it. Separate. Some people will send semen out and charge just the collection costs and the shipping up front, and then pay the stud fee when you go to register the litter. Or go ahead and the litter's born and you've got a nice litter, then they'll go ahead and say you pay and they do the paperwork and you send it all off right there. That's a very viable option. Some people want to be paid upfront in full in advance. That's a viable option too. Kind of depends as to your relationship you have going with these people. If you don't really know them, you might want to get paid upfront, and then you can turn around and say, if you don't get a live litter, if you don't get something to register, then you can have a repeat breeding for no additional cost as far as stud fee. Expenses are still going to be yours. So if I send you semen a second time because your bitch didn't settle or you didn't get a live litter, then you're going to still pay for the shipping. You're still going to pay for the box. You're going to still pay for all of that. You're just not going to pay for the fee a second time. So, but that should also be in your contract.
So when picking a stud, And I mean, a lot of it's what's your comfortability with the owner's contract? Like, there's really nothing off the table. If they want $4,000 and they have all these things in the contract, like you're going to do this, this, and this, I'm going to cover when it, like if that sounds good to you as the person that's in the like, the power is all with the breeder and the one offering the stud service. They're going to have the rules. You're going to accept them and move forward. If that's what you want and it sounds good to you, you're gonna accept it and you're gonna move forward. I don't know if there is necessarily a right and wrong unless they're saying like $10,000 for the semen.
Well, there's not a right or wrong to it, but it should all be discussed up front. So, I mean, if I go ahead and if I'm going to let you breed to a dog that I've spent, you know, 50 grand on showing, I might tell you, okay, you can breed to my stud dog. Anything that you don't keep yourself, that doesn't stay in your sole ownership and possession, you need to sell it on limited papers. I'm not providing you a breeding for 2,500 bucks to this dog that I've spent 50,000 on for you to turn around and sell show puppies out of my dog. Some people would feel that way. I mean, and that's okay. It might be right. I mean, if it's right for you, it's right. But you just say it up front, like, okay, you want to breed to this dog? Fine. This is a stud fee. If you sell anything out of your litters, sell it unlimited. Whatever you keep unopened. It's yours. But that's a lot of people feel will do that, especially on dogs that are very vested in, to kind of keep a little bit of quality control as to what's been sent out of their dogs. I mean, which is part of that whole bigger accountability, more involvement, that atmosphere that we see in today's, purebred dogs. I mean, everybody
On the
knows
line,
everybody's stuff.
how far down the line can you take that? Say you provide me
Well,
a
I have
stud service and you say you can have open papers on what you keep, but anything you don't keep's gotta be limited. I keep a bitch out of there. I now breed that bitch. Are those puppies free reign then at that point? So your stud's
now
now a grandpa.
for me, so I have seen contracts. I have seen contracts with people on open paper dealings and stud services and puppies where they wouldn't sell a breeding dog with a contract that involved 3 generations from their dog. Everything you sold for until the point where their dogs dropped off of a 3 generation pedigree, you only sold on limited papers. I think that is kind of way extreme. And if you think your stuff is all that and people are willing to agree with you, well then, boy, rock on. For me, I would say when I go ahead and do a stud service out and I'm wanting someone to use it for their own personal benefit, the ones that they kept, that they put their kennel name on, that they show and they invest, what they do with the puppies from those puppies, that's them. That's not really me. I'm in the background, but it's like, if you opened up a show catalog and neither parent carried my kennel name, then I don't really feel like I can, you know what I'm saying? So it would just be the immediate puppies directly from my dog would be how I would frame that, you know. But yeah, it can go, you need to really beat that to death and find out exactly, because make sure you're well with it. Because if you're not well with it, that's okay too. Find someone who move on. You don't have to deal with these people. If it seems a little bit overly controlling and a little bit too much, it might be. Then
On to the next
step away
sperm
from that.
donor.
Yeah, go move on. Next, click. I mean, you'll find something that works within your comfort zone. But whatever the fee is, whether it's a puppy or the price of a pet puppy, you need to determine when it needs to be paid. And then at the time of payment, you should have paperwork. Paperwork should be pretty prompt, because I mean, I think if you either do a stud service or if you do a open paper like that with other breeders, you need to be prompt on your paperwork. Have your stuff together. Have them where they get, you know, they should get the pedigree. They should get a picture of the dog they bred to. They should, if there's health testing that goes with that dog, they should get that, and they can move
Because surely
forward in their
if they're selling puppies out of this stud, the question is gonna be, "Can I see the parents?" And it
bingo.
sucks being a breeder, getting asked to see the parents, and you're like, "Ugh, I don't have a picture of
Yeah,
the dad, sorry.
yeah, right.
Is what it is." Okay, so anything else you wanna add to that before we move on? Because 'Cause we're not even gonna get 3 questions in at this rate.
Nope, I think that's a good stopping point. We beat that one
Alright,
all the way to death.
alright, we're gonna get 2 questions in probably,
It's
which
two
is
question
fine, you know?
Tuesday.
Yeah, 2 question Tuesday, there we go. Alright, so this person stated okay, so this person said, "In a prior episode of your podcast, you said the 2 hardest parts of raising a chin puppy is whelping and weaning. So let's talk about weaning and how to have weaning success and not lose puppies." So I'm assuming more so on the chin. And I went back and I watched the episode. It was our Whelping 101 episode. And you had made a comment in that episode that you're going to make it or break it in the chin litters at whelping and at weaning. So, what are some
So
tips?
this
Let's talk
applies to
weaning tips and tips.
any toy breed dog. That's really important. And even bigger dogs, weaning is a fragile time where you really need to be aware of what we have going on because you're doing a complete change. So, like when they're born and they come off of their, you know, in utero, could be through the umbilicus and through the placentals, and then they're changing systems. This is a big time when they can die and crash out. But they're also another big time to die and crash out is when they go from nursing and mother's care to eating their own food and navigating that change of that system. And that's also going to be a time. I mean, that's a big time for puppies. That is huge. They're learning to go outside, they're taking vaccinations, and they're coming off of mother's feeding. So that's a lot on a puppy. And you have got to be there offering supportive care and watching to see who's falling behind, who needs help with this, because you're going to have some that are going to fall behind. If there is a potential problem like a liver shunt, that type of thing, this is when that's going to roll around, and there's going to be degrees of that. Some of them they'll be able to make it through, and some of them are going to go not make it. So all of that stuff is really important. That's kind of like the weaning off of the mother is like the second most traumatic change uh from the since birth. And then following the next thing into that is when you break them from the litter and you sell them into a home. That's also a huge stress and change. But hopefully at that point, they're strong enough that they can bounce through that with minimal issue. But coming off the mom, they need to come off slowly, incrementally. You don't just go ahead and say one day, today's the third, we're weaned, you're out. No, no, you're going to start backing her away slowly, leaving her in at night. You're going to have to, you might even start separating your puppies out. If you have some that are bigger, if your litter's not uniform, start watching that little one because the bigger ones could go ahead and vote him off the island and put out his tiki torch. And that's where that supportive care where you can tip the scales of fate in the favor of that little guy. There's, is your litter getting close to weaning yet?
I mean, we're working on it.
Are they starting to eat solid food?
They're starting to eat soft food,
Okay.
not salt,
Yep.
not like yeah. Yeah, I mean, I put
Yeah.
a dish in there a couple times a day for them to come sniff around and, they'll lick it, they'll lick at it and, roll around in it and make a freaking mess, and then you gotta clean them and all of that, and then mom will go in and clean it up and stuff like that, but they're still nursing multiple times a day too, so
Sure. Yeah.
it's
And
kinda
that's just something
it's
that's
like
going to come off incrementally.
I'm leaving her out, as to where 2 weeks ago, it was like, "Oh, you've been out away from your babies for 30 minutes. You should probably go back in. They might be hungry." Or an hour, and now it's like half a day she might be out, and it's like she knows when she wants to go back in and when that's the thing. The mom is smart, right? Like if
Sure.
she thinks the babies are hungry or that they need to be fed, she's gonna want to get back in there with them. If she's not wanting back in there with them, they might be okay, but like you said, use your eyes and see, and how much are they eating? Because is there a point where they start eating too much food and then mom wants nothing to do with them because they're pooping, like food poop?
So what happens with that's a good question. As the babies begin to eat solids food and their elimination is not just her milk, she's gonna go, "Yeah, I don't think so. That's a you thing, that's not a me thing." And that's when you can start, like, if you're gonna do a litter box or whatever, that's when you're gonna is the litter owner, the breeder, you're going to start having to clean up after them. But I think the biggest thing is paying attention, being invested and checked in. Is that puppy growing? Is that puppy growing as much as the other puppies? Because maybe these here, maybe you're going to take them away from her during the day, but maybe take her away from them and leave her with the little one. You know, yeah, I mean, he might, that kind of thing. You have to like each puppy, each breed, each situation is distinctly its own. And you have to really look and see what that puppy needs. Now, I think that paying attention to the food, like as like going on to a starter food for the puppies, I think the idea of maybe adding a little bit of honey to the water, getting their sugar a little higher, because what happens is these puppies are now also starting to explode in activity and their bodies have to regulate the amount that they take in to the amount that they take out. This is where people who are getting a new toy breed puppy get into trouble all the time. Is they get this puppy that's been kept in a smaller little area and kept on schedule and made to nap and fed however many times a day. And then they take it home and they put it out in the backyard and it races around, runs like crazy dog, and everyone's clapping and cheering. And then all of a sudden you could like if there was that little thought bubble over there where it had a little battery charger and you could just see the energy level dropping and go and the puppy goes boink, you know, because they will literally run themselves. They don't regulate themselves 100%. And that's something that comes with time. And that's where when you're weaning them, you've got to keep the small amounts of food consistently coming in there, watching how they're doing, watching how they're pooping, seeing how they're coming off of that. Are they gaining weight? Are they plateauing? What does it look like? What do their poops look like? This is a time where they can break out with coccidiosis really easily. Weaning puppies can get coccidia. Think about it hard. They can do it. Anybody tells you, oh, well, blah, 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 my puppy got coccidia or giardia. Newsflash, super easy to do. That's a lot of poop. And they're just like babies in diapers, it's just explosive diarrhea. I mean, you're not a bad person for it's like it's just a lot to clean up. And sometimes you're going to be better at than others, and sometimes it's going to be unexpected. And so you have to deal with those things. If the stools look like they're going off, you might want to treat them for a little coccidia. If some wise guy went and pooped in the water bowl and you see a floater in there, well, run them all on a giardia treatment because someone just put a turd in the punch bowl. They've all been exposed. It happens. And it's just something that you have to, it's the magic of babies. They're disgusting and adorable all at the same time. And but whoever is checked in and watching them, they're gonna raise the best puppies, and they're gonna have the best success.
I mean, you kind of know because you kind of see, like with the litter I have right now, it's like I can put the dish in there, and there's one that will come to it pretty quick, start licking away, and the other ones is like they'll stay asleep or they'll stay. It's like you have to kind of put them there and slower to figure it out. But I think that's just life. And so, like, what tips do you have for people? What obviously in toy breeds you got shorter noses. Is there aspiration pneumonia that could come into effect?
Super simple. Yeah, that can happen really fast. Aspiration pneumonia, super easy. They can get aspiration pneumonia from getting car sick riding somewhere, you know, all of that. I mean, it's super easy for puppies to get a little bit, giving them a bath, really watch out, you know, keep their little heads away from it. Just kind of use a washcloth on their face. Don't get the water around their face because you can aspirate them, waterboard them real easy, you know, all of that. I throw a little bit of Captain Crunch in there throughout the day, kind of like throwing scratch to the chickens. Just a little sugar fix to keep their blood sugar up. If their blood sugar's up, they're getting hungrier and they're going to keep eating. You know, which is going to make them grow more. The more they're eating, the more they're pooping, the more you're cleaning. It's just this little vicious cycle. That's why, like with the chin, we like the litter box because they can just like go in there and you can localized, you don't have to strip the bed every time someone blows out. But, you know, those are just things that you can do. Just a little, like I said, like with the, using a little bit of honey in the water, a little bit of NutriCal, a little bit of extra food throughout the day, you know, making sure you feed them, not just feed them, like put food in there. You want to see them eat. I want to see you do it. I don't want you to just move it around and play with it. I want to see you eat it. And then I want to see what your poops look like. And those two things, if they're eating and pooping good, you can handle almost any situation. But when those things go off, that's when you're gonna lose your puppy. And when you have a puppy that does go down hypoglycemia, you got to change that situation a bunch because the first time they go down, you can pull them back out of that. You know, the second time they go down, is hard and they're going to have a long recovery from that. The third time they go down, you're probably not bringing them back from a third time. It's going to be pretty hard. And so you really have to keep those situations. Prevention is the key, staying involved on that up front, but change that situation out. Sometimes I'll go ahead, as I have puppies throughout the year. If I have a small puppy and the litter mates are bigger, I might move them to another litter that's a little bit younger. Change up the demographic, kind of like holding that special needs child back a grade. It's like, okay, you're not going to graduate with these. We're going to hold you back again. You're going to get to do first grade a second time. You know, that kind of thing. Just pick, you know, evaluate how they're coming.
So what should they have for food then? Like when you start weaning, because I've seen people that just whatever kibble's in there for mom, they start sniffing around on it, and whenever they decide to eat it, that's when they start weaning. I've seen people do a mush type of thing. I've seen people do fresh pet, softer type of food. Like, what are your
So
recommendations?
it's breed definitive. Some breeds do better with different stuff. I'll go ahead, like the Spaniels, they do really well on a little bit of soft food, just like maybe a couple spoonfuls of can and some soft food and just like a little handful in there to, you know, of soft food. Chin will kind of do soft food a little bit. They're not big soft food eaters. They don't love soft food like some of the other breeds. And you can do a little bit with them, but they'll be more apt to go for like dehydrated chicken and stuff like that. But you know, the really the thing is they have really good weaning formulas of food like Royal Canin and Nutrisource. Anything that has puppy starter, Purina Pure Pro Plan, all of the puppy starter stuff is loaded in kcals, highly digestible, the right size. You know, this is like my bitches gain so much weight by the time I get my puppies weaned, they have to go into like the Jenny Craig program after I take the puppies away from them because my bitches are like plump and fluffy, but because everybody's been eating so good. But our breeds, they're not the kind of dogs where you go, they're hungry, they'll eat. No, ours won't. They're hungry, they didn't eat, and then they died. That's how that goes, you know. But some breeds, they just throw some more dry food out there and they all just sit there and wolf it down. You know, good on them. I'm happy for them. It's a great concept. I wish I had discovered it years ago. It would have made life so much easier. But for those people who want to raise toy dogs, you've gotta go through the weaning thing, and that's when they're gonna get stressed. Some breeds will break with demodectic mange, which you can topically treat. You know, you can use ivermectin, you can use Bravecto, you know, watching because they'll, like, lose hair around their eyes, around their ears. Some of them will do that. The weaning is also a great time for them to get stool stickings, where their little poop will glob over their butt, and they look like they're just fine and dandy until they fall over, and you go, "Oh, they can't poop because they're stuck shut." So you gotta keep their little butts clipped. Make sure that you can see you wanna see them eat, you wanna see their eyes, you wanna see their little butts a couple times a day. Super important.
So when do you consider the weaning process complete and you're in the safe zone? When they're not nursing anymore and they've completely
Oh,
made that
heavens no.
switch?
So, on a toy breed dog, I would say by the time a puppy is 3 to 4 months, you are pretty solid. Even but most of the toy breeds, I wouldn't send somebody a dog out that didn't weigh over 2 pounds. Just too big, like, they make a mistake with something less than 2 pounds. At 2 pounds, they have to be attentive and checked into that dog, or they could go badly. But less than 2 pounds, no, that's mine until it's over 2 pounds. I'm not gonna trust somebody else to do that right, unless it's somebody I really knew and they took as good or better care of it than I would. But they have to, you know, puppies as a whole, like, by the time they have their second, third shot, they should be pretty solid and pretty much on their way to independence, you know? By the time they're, 3 months old, most toy breeds pretty solid. I let Cavalier puppies start going at 10 weeks. They're pretty solid by 10 weeks. Chin puppies, more like 12 weeks, maybe 14 weeks if they're small. Just kind of depending as to how big they are and how experienced a home it is and that kind of thing.
Yeah. All right.
You have
That
to
all
read the
makes sense.
cards.
Yeah. I like with everything. I mean, you gotta it's kind of per basis situation. So
Yeah, you got to evaluate each one is its own little person, and then you have to kind of go in there and see it. And if they have issues, you have to change your situation, do the supportive care, and then don't promise anybody anything until you know what you have. Make sure that it's 100% at that point.
well there you have it. So 58 minutes and 33 seconds and we got two questions answered. We are rocking, Dale.
Wow. I'm thinking next week we'll probably get one done.
Yeah. At the rate we're going, we better pick a good one that we can talk for an hour next week. Oh my gosh. Hey, we still have more questions, and you can keep flooding us with more questions too. We'll get to them when we get to them. It might be a year from now, but just don't make them.
We're trucking on along.
Yeah, if they're urgent, text us because it might be 3 weeks before you get an answer if we're to make a podcast episode about it. But super beneficial stuff in today's episode. So I hope everybody got something out of it. Anything you want to wrap up with?
Oh, I was really tickled to hear somebody that had taken a puppy to the show, and they had a little episode with their dog, and they because of our little what to pack in your bag of life to go to the show, they were able to turn their situation around and made it into a winning situation, because they had the tiger blood from the tack box. They were able to turn the situation around and, be able to save the show and make it all go well. And I mean, it makes me really happy when it works out like that.
Yeah, our advice helped somebody out, and it was awesome
There you go.
to hear about that. It was awesome to know that we were able to help somebody, and awesome to know that somebody actually listens. Somebody
There you
listens
go.
to our show.
Someone
So
cares.
yeah, someone cares and took our advice, and it paid off. So that always feels good. Of like, hey, somebody took our advice and it worked out for them. So maybe we're not so dumb after all.
There you go.
Yeah.
Who knew?
All right, everybody. Thanks for joining this episode of the Tac Box Podcast. We're rolling up on 30 pretty quick here. So we're chugging along. We're getting close to 300 subscribers on YouTube. We're getting close to Buzzsprout, podcast stuff, getting to like 1,000 downloads a month. Getting close to that. We're starting to make moves. We're getting people there. If you keep telling your friends to listen to the Tac Box Podcast, that would be fantastic. We'd appreciate it. We might, we might make a penny from this podcast at some point, Dale. Yeah,
At
we're on
some
our
point.
way.
Have a
All
good
right.
one, everyone.
Yeah, thanks for joining. We'll talk to you guys all soon. Have a great day.
Bye-bye.